Guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's the 2nd of June. I've got the wheelbarrow behind me with some tools in. I'm off over to the micro orchard. We need to do a bit of catching up there. I'm just going to spin you around. I want to show you this fantastic laburnum tree. So at the far end of the plot, let me see if we can zoom in a wee bit. Just as you come in through the gate, that tree's actually on Ken's plot. I've showed it before, but it never fails to impress me when it's in full bloom. Coming through the gate, the scent is magnificent, and it's absolutely full of bees. Anyway, it's going to be a hot one again today, maybe a high of 25, so I'm trying to get over and get some work done before it gets too hot. So we're over on the micro orchard. Now, one of the first jobs I've got to do. So I've been going about just over an hour, and there must be a good half a barrow load there of the bittercress. That's the one I wanted to focus on because it has this kind of explosive seed mechanism. It can distribute seed up to about a metre. So if you don't sort of get them under control, you're just going to end up really with a sort of serious spread of the stuff. So they'll go in the incinerator now, and then we'll have a little walk around. So starting off at the top of the orchard, the Tayberry that I planted recently has got some flowers on, and got some really nice new growths coming out. So I just need to get that post and rail structure up, but there's no massive sweat. I've got to order some more timber to complete that project. The bud graft is looking really healthy, and another thing we need to do is just keep rubbing off these growths from the old rootstock so that all the energy goes into the variety that we're trying to grow. So walking over to the rhubarb, I definitely need to get in there and harvest some more. There's some really nice sticks there now, so I'll be pulling some of that today. The ones that are divided, well, they're a bit iffy. They are growing, but I need to get some grass mulch on them anyway and do some weeding first and then put some mulch on. We'll see how they go on. Now over to the Comfrey. That's grown really quickly since I took the first cut. But I mentioned I wasn't sure whether it flowered. Well, yeah, it does flower. Now this is the new stuff here, moving on just from there to this bit here. Those were the divisions that I took, and you can see that they're growing quite nicely now. Yesterday I was having a closer look, and just down here you can see new growth coming. These were the root cuttings. So there's one coming here, one there. I can just about see this one breaking through, so that's good. I'm really pleased. In fact, I can see the one over there, so it looks like they're going to be successful. I notice also there's quite a bit of weed just developing, so I've got the hoe with me. I'm just going to lightly hoe this just to try and keep the weed down until the Comfrey gets big enough to smother out the light and stop any more weed growing. While we're here, this was the gooseberry bush that had Sawfly. Now I sprayed this with the soap and neem oil. As far as I can see, there hasn't been any further damage, any further defoliation, and if you look at the shoot tips here, the lighter green just on the top there is new growth. So I can only assume that that's because the aphids have been killed and it's allowing the plant to throw out new leaves. So I'll probably spray it again in a couple of weeks just to make sure that I keep them under control. I picked off some pear fruitlets. Now this camera unfortunately is pretty poor at close-up shots, so I'm guessing you won't be able to see that, but we still haven't got rid of the pear midge. I can see the little white maggots in there crawling about, so I guess it's just going to take time and persistence to keep picking them off, burning them, try and get them under control. Nothing else you can do really. And while we're on the subject of pears, I mentioned last time about pear leaf blister mite. Now I was having a look at this tree again yesterday, and it's really badly affected. It's pretty much throughout the whole tree. Try and get one less branch here. Don't know whether you can make that out on the leaves there, but I don't think there's much more I can do. I can't get up that, pick all the leaves off there, so I'm just going to have to let it run its course and try and intervene earlier next year. Now, having said that, this is, I think that's Concorde, I'm not quite sure actually, no, maybe not, that might be Williams. But this branch here is Concorde, and that's got a pretty good fruit set on it. And it did seem to, there was something I read that suggested Concorde is less susceptible to pear midge, and by looking at them I would certainly agree with that. There seems to be very few, if any, affected by pear midge, unlike the Williams. And you can see the telltale signs here. This sort of black. So, looking at this tree, which I did some bark or rind grafts last year, here's the graft, just there, and that branch is growing actively now again. New growth here coming from the tip, so it's probably heading towards a metre long now. And just here, this is where I cut off the other variety, but you can see it's showing, it's sprouting new growth. So what we want to do is just remove those. Don't want to allow those, because as I say, we want the energy to be going into that grafted variety, which is the variety that we want. See, there's one just underneath here. That's where the branch was cut off. That's the graft, so we want to remove this like so. Just walk it round. So similarly with this graft here, take them off. Same with that one, just a few there. The Loganberry's full of flower. Should produce quite a bit of fruit that this year. The pinks are starting to produce flower heads. So we're a bit behind this year. I was looking in my diary last night. I think I was cutting the first pinks just at the end of the first week of June. So we're probably 2 to 3 weeks behind, I would say. But they're looking good. Should be some nice bunches. A sight to see when they're all out as well. Gooseberries have got a good crop on. You can see they're beginning to develop nicely now. And we have some nice redcurrants developing here too. Those are the first thornless blackberry. That's the first flowers. And on this old Victoria plum tree, there's definitely fruit on there. There's certainly not as much as last year. There's more on this tree than on the one at home. The one at home is really poor, so this will help to mitigate that somewhat. And just a little update on the blackcurrant cuttings and what have you down in this corner here. Most of them are looking alright. One here isn't. It sort of had some dieback, and this one, the leaves have gone altogether. I don't know what happened to those, but these are certainly looking healthy. The cob nuts looking fine, as are the dams and suckers. And then that was the blackthorn. It had 2 shoots. One's died back, but this one's growing, so we'll just persevere and see where it takes us. And then these were the pots of Comfrey root cuttings, so nothing showing yet, but with the others actually, yeah, just one coming through there, so it's all good. So I think the most important thing I can do now is go around that pear tree, or tree should I say, and pick off as many of the infected fruitlets as I can. I'm just thinking I might have to take drastic action and possibly re-graft the tree over with Concorde if they're going to prove to be much more resistant than Pear Midge, in order to overcome this issue. You know, that might have to be the course of action, but we'll see. Anyway, we'll leave it there. Thanks everyone for continuing to support me. Don't forget to leave me a thumbs up, drop me a comment down below, and hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.